Welcome to Quick Shots, a short format traditional archery podcast, where we introduce you to some of the world's most influential traditional archers, and occasionally, some random dudes.
What tab are you shooting?
Yes!
Ghost tab, obviously.
Check out CD Archery, performance ILF risers for hunters to world champions. cdarchery.com, made right here in the United States of America. Don't forget to check out our sponsor, archerypass.com, for all your traditional archery needs. Hey everyone, welcome back to Quick Shots. I'm your host, Mick Chambers. I'm here with Jason Samkowiak, traditional bow hunting and wilderness podcast, the voice of Jason. Welcome to the show, buddy.
How you doing?
Really good, really good. As I was saying before we got started here, you know, it's great to meet you. This is the first time talking to you. I've been watching your videos. I'm gonna ask questions about some of the videos that you have. If you haven't checked out Jason, you know, he is a traditional bow hunting and wilderness podcast on YouTube, tbwpodcast.com. You can get all his content there. There's links to everything there, some cool swag and stuff like that. So, and I would say you're an outdoor man. Like outdoor, you live and breathe hunting, man. I think that's a fantastic way of doing things. I want to jump right into that. So previous to getting on and starting the show, Jason and I were talking. He moved down to Georgia. Can you tell us that story about going from being a Michigan boy down to Georgia?
Well, in Michigan, I grew up, born and raised in Michigan, loved Michigan hunting. But then I came down 5 years ago on my first I just wanted to hunt hogs. So I came down here to the mountains of Georgia for a hog hunt. And I was down here 2.5 days. On day 2, I got into a hog in the mountains and had him at 3 yards with no shot facing at me, and I was hooked. I was like, that's it. You know, I've killed a couple dozen hogs on ranches and preserves back in the 90s, you know. But This was my first experience with wild hogs, and I loved it. I came back 3 or 4 more times. We bought a camper so we could spend the summer or the whole winter down here with my wife. We loved it. We did that for 3 years. And then we thought, let's buy a house down here and get rid of the camper. So we bought a small little house down here, spent all last winter down here and loved it so much. When on our way home, we decided, you know what, let's sell everything in Michigan. Bella, our daughter, she's moving out and everything. She's doing her stuff. And we convinced her to move to Georgia too, and her boyfriend. So they're down here.
Wow.
They're only 10 minutes away from us. So they're here. And we just made it a legit make it happen. And so we sold everything in Michigan, moved down here. And, like I was saying, I slowed down work-wise tremendously, down to literally about an eighth of what I was making income-wise. We paid off every bill we had. My house paid off. And, it's, and now I hunt a whole lot. During the main part of the season, I'm hunting 5 or 6 days a week. And during the off season, I'm hunting three or 4 days a week.
So what you're telling me is when you talk, we should listen when we're talking about bow hunting, trad bow hunting. That's what I'm hearing. Because, dude, there's no one in the bush more than you are. That's amazing.
I definitely enjoy it out there. It's my happy place. Even if it's just, like right now with all the stuff going on with my daughter's wedding and everything like that, my wife's kind of got me locked down a touch. So, yeah. But I'm getting up at, 3:45 in the morning, going out there hiking 5-6 miles, home by 1:30 in the afternoon, and, out there learning new areas, scouting, chasing hogs, and, having fun.
That's amazing. And your daughter's super lucky because, you're a professional photographer. So are you going to have time to take pictures? I mean, what are you going to do during the wedding?
Well,
what's your job?
Right. I'm going to do, when it comes to her, she's doing 2 weddings. One is a small ceremony that they're going to have this week because of the fact that, so this is a small wedding. That one is not, we'll take pictures at, but for her big one next year, I'm having one of my other photographers shoot it so I can just be dad.
That's fantastic. That's fantastic.
Yeah, but she had me get ordained. Again, I'm actually the one marrying her this week. So I'm actually now an ordained minister, went through all this stuff, and I'm actually the one doing her. I'm going to be the one that officially marries them.
Wow, so you got a couple hats you're wearing at that wedding. That's great.
Yeah,
That's
yeah, it's
great.
going to be pretty fun. Yep.
Well, I'm excited for you. I mean, that's fun. I mean, my daughters are, they're not that age yet, but they're like, the 18, 19, 20-year-old. So not yet, not yet. I don't want them getting married yet, but just pick the right dude and just let me meet him first and see if he's a hunter or not. If he's not, then we're gonna have issues. Especially, well, he might be a hunter, then he's a compound shooter, and I'm like, I'm not marrying him. I'm not letting my kids marry a compound shooter.
Yeah. Well, her boyfriend Dylan, or fiance Dylan, he doesn't hunt and he doesn't want nothing to do with being in the woods at all. So it's kind of funny. It's weird how that stuff works. But and Bella still does. She loves hunting, and she's into all that kind of stuff. But kind of funny how all that stuff comes together. But I'll tell you, best way to weed out the good ones and the bad ones. Every boyfriend that Bella's had, on my meat grinder, I put a big piece of that masking tape and I write their name on my meat grinder, and I let them know that if I don't like them, they go through the meat grinder, and then I invite their parents over for dinner and feed them to their parents.
That's funny. That's funny. You're not just a trad archer, though. I mean, you're a gun guy too, though, right?
I like them. I have a lot of fun. I've only killed 2 animals in my entire life, big game animals with a gun. Both of them were last year because when I was in Michigan, I was only allowed 2 deer tags and an occasional doe tag where I was at. So I wouldn't waste it on a gun. I wanted to bow hunt. But when I opened it up last year with the 10 doe tags, I killed a doe last year in Michigan with my 45-70 open sights, and I killed a hog down here that way last year. And actually, I dropped that gun. It's actually sitting right behind me. We're in, like I said, my little office war room storage closet here. But that 45-70 is right behind me and going out with me tomorrow. It's just nice to carry a gun once in a while. I've never did it, and now I have the option to with unlimited tags. So I'm enjoying it. But it's sighted in at 35 yards, and I won't shoot past 50.
Yeah, that's cool. I mean, I don't mind. I mean, people take animals with however you hunt. Just I don't want to yuck your yum. Do whatever you want to do, right? But I personally the feeling, and this more than anyone, that feeling you get when you take something traditional, it's just amazing.
Yes. Hey,
I want to jump back just a bit though. I want to get behind the curtain and understand, when did you start? When did you get into trad hunt? Just into trad. Period. How'd you get into trad archery?
I never had anybody in my family that hunted, so nobody to teach me any of that stuff. And I didn't, I messed with it a little bit when I was 12 when I got at my first compound, but I didn't really do anything. And then growing up north was good, but I moved down to the Metro Detroit area for college, and I wanted to get back up north, and so I bought a compound bow. I bought it like September 20th. I practiced at the local range, and then on October 3rd, I went up north. I walked down a motorcycle trail, found a good area with a lot of tracks, went back the next morning and sat on the ground. And I had a suicidal deer, my first year I ever killed it. I was sitting Indian style on the ground. 3 does came in behind me, and I was just in a little poplar patch. 3 does came in behind me at 18 yards, and I saw them, and they stopped, and I actually turned around, looked at them, stood up, like actually got off the ground, stood up, looked at him, realized my bow was still on the ground, bent down, picked up my bow, nocked an arrow, drew back and shot her. And she stood there for the whole entire process and let it happen. And then right after that happened, I thought this hunting with a compound stuff is just way too easy. This is no fun. So I'm sorry. I bought a Browning Ballistic Mirage. I wanted to get more into it. So that next week I bought faster compounds, and they were breaking, like limbs were cracking. I couldn't tune it. I got fed up. And then so by December of that year, so 3 months later, I bought a Martin Mamba recurve because I was sick of tinkering with all this compound stuff. And I thought, and I shot it, and I was like, God, this is awesome. This is just real simple. And I hunted with it for 3 years, shot over the back of 12 deer in 3 years before I finally connected on my first one. And but I never looked back. Then once I bought that Mamba, that Martin Mamba, which is hanging right there, I got that bow in that December when I was 19 years old. And that was it. And then I just never went backwards. It took 3 years to kill my first deer. And after I killed that first one, I don't think I ever had a year where I killed less than 2 deer, some year 12 deer. It just depended on where I was hunting, what was going on, but I never turned back.
So you went from the Mamba. How long ago was that, by the way?
I was 19 and I'm 49. So 30 years ago.
30 years ago. Wow. 30 years ago. And you're just, how many, if you were to guess, how many animals have you put on the ground?
Last time I counted, it was 130 something. So we got to be probably close to we got to be in that 150 mark, 145, somewhere in that general area, I'm guessing.
Yeah,
I mean, nowhere near like a lot of these guys. I mean, especially down here in the South, you got guys like Robert Carter and Warren Womack. These guys have killed more animals than, major diseases have. I mean, they're in the numbers of 400, and there's a lot of people out there put a lot of animals on the ground.
Wow, that's incredible. That's incredible. I mean, that's just amazing to me. But still, I mean, you're recording it, and you're putting content out there for people to see and get better at. And that's good. So the more your resume is fantastic. I mean, that's a fantastic resume. And I want to, so just moving forward, is there anything else on that story about your trad background?
No, that was it.
Okay.
Just picked it up, loved it, never stopped.
That's your origin story. So I want to get more into you, the content creator. You put out a lot of great videos, and if people haven't watched them, you got to go there and see them. I mean, they're some of the best on the internet, with content wise. There's just some really, I call you like the common sense bow hunter. I mean, like literally, like I'm doing stuff and I'm going, this is common sense. I'm going to do this. And then I'll see one of your videos and go, holy shit, he's saying the same thing. And I'm like, okay, I'm not creating anything new here. It's like, the other day you did I'm fanboying a little bit. You did a video on buying, your hunting gear at Walmart. And I'm like, I love those pants that you have. Like, I got like 3 sets of them myself. I don't know if anyone's out those Wranglers. I was like, I'm like, man, this makes so much sense to me. Everything you're doing and all the equipment that you have, or your equipment that you talk about. I really like, sorry if I'm going a little bit overboard on you here. I really like your videos. I really love your videos on climbing stand stuff and your hookup and your setup for all that. Has any of that changed for 2023? Are you going to be putting out more videos of that?
I actually, just before we talked, I just finished editing up a video that'll go on there in a week or two called, finding the best tree stand for you. Yep. And as it gets closer to the season, I will, because I like to really drive home the safety factor. And I really like to drive home the factor of people learning the value of a system, for not only for safety, but for speed and efficiency. And when I hear people say, well, it takes me 20 minutes to hang a tree stand, it's like, you know what? You don't need it to be that long. You can do it in under 5 minutes if you develop that system and you get the way of doing it. And like I said, the safety is a big factor. So every year, starting around end of July, August, I'll really start ramping up the tree stand how-to videos and the things like that. And I do things a lot different because I don't use quick links. I don't use, my straps or my harness. I had, John from Tactus Saddle make my harness for me to my specs, and he has those. And then I had, I don't use, when I'm tying to the tree, it's just I'm using a bow line and tying in with a bow line, not on a dynamic rope. It's a different philosophy. I made my own lineman belt 30 years ago, and I still use it today. And it's one hand operation. I'm just a real big, simple yet powerful and efficient gear kind of guy. The simple is the best.
Yeah, no, it's pretty good. There's some of the stuff on there, like your alignment belt and stuff like that you made that's pretty cool. It kind of gives me a little bit of confidence. I'd love to see you do more on that, and how I know you did how to make one, but I don't know if I have the confidence to do it. Like, I don't know if I trust myself. That's the only thing. But yeah, you put out some great videos.
I'd love to sell them.
Yeah,
but I can't. They won't let me sell them because of the insurance. The insurance is through the roof.
We'll talk after this. I'll get your PayPal after this. So anyway, because lineman's belt is invaluable, right? When you're climbing up a tree. Hey, so I'm just doing a quick search through your videos and stuff like that. And one of the videos that hit me the hardest recently, obviously, is one of the most recent videos that you had. And it was, dude, I mean, you got a ton of views on this video. Do you know which one I'm going to say?
No.
One of the recent ones, one of the most recent ones. You got a ton of views, ton of looks on this. I
The one
am
on my shooting style.
I am done with all these archery techniques. I am done with, and you called it the push, and you call it like you're like these.
Well, no,
guys
I
are
actually,
dumb.
I even made another follow up video after that to make sure that they knew that I was not knocking any of those systems. But I'll tell you, they don't work for me. I've tried for so many years to get that release to pull through and come back here, and I've tried so many to get that shoulders to come in, and I can't do it. I shoot the best when I just draw back. I focus on what I want to hit. Even if I creep, I never creep my hand, but even if I let my shoulders creep a little bit, I don't care. Just put the arrow there. That's all I want to do. And since I just said forget all of that stuff and started shooting that way, I have never shot better. Matter of fact, no joke, but I mean, I've replaced 5 nocks in the past 4 weeks on arrows, and I only shoot 3 or 4 arrows at a time, but I keep busting them.
Yeah.
And I mean, my shooting's never been better.
Yeah, no, that's good. What works for you works for you. I think that I like that video a lot. Just FYI. I mean, I like that video a lot. I like the follow-up video too. You did say, "Hey, I'm not calling anyone out on this, but you do you and right." And I love your attitude. You're always like that, right? You're always like, "You do you, but here's what I'm doing." And I think people should listen to you. You've got, what'd you say, 150 animals on the ground. I mean, none of
Right.
there's so many of us that haven't been there. So experience matters, man. Experience matters. It's funny, when we talk about experience and we talk about competitive archery, one of the things that there's no substitute for experience. So when you go on a competitive archery line and you're a trad archer, you're a barebow archer, you're on that line, you're expected to lose 20 points from your training, right? Because you don't have the experience when you're new to that thing. I feel the same way in hunting. I think that if you don't have a lot of experience in hunting, I mean, you have that experience, what you're going to do, especially under pressure. It sounds like your shot is good under pressure. And I know that because you film yourself and you go, "Hey, I'm going to put 3 here," and you do it, right? That's pressure. I don't know if everyone understands that when that camera's rolling.
That's brutal.
Yeah, it's brutal. When the camera rolls, you kind of go, "Hey, I'm trying to teach here." Editing takes a long time. I'm not editing shit out. I'm not cutting and putting. No one's doing that. I mean, if people do that, you can see that. You're not doing that. I've seen your videos. You don't do that. You just put the shots where you want them to go, like you said, and you're at 18 to 15 yards or whatever, and you bang on. That's awesome. So no, I liked it. It was good. It was refreshing. You're kind of like that. What was that name of that? What's the disc jockey? What's the guy's name?
Howard Stern.
Howard Stern. Do you remember? Did you see the Howard Stern movie? Did you see that?
I didn't see all the movie, but I used to look back in the day when I was an engineer. Every morning you sit there at work with the headphones on. I used to listen to Howard Stern show. Yeah.
Well, it's not about the Howard Stern show and how he is on the show or anything like that. But one of the things that he said that made him popular was he was like a very yes, and here's what we're doing today, and that's how he used to be a disc jockey. And then he was like, "You know what? I'm tired. I'm not feeling good." And then he was just honest. And then he got off his show and he's like, "I'm fired. I'm gonna be fired." And instead, everyone's like, "Dude, that was the best show ever." When he told his opinion. And so I love it when you're kind of open and honest and you're genuine about stuff. I found that video was very genuine and I liked it a lot. Anyway.
As creators, as you know as well too, when you're creating content for people, the number one thing, the rule that you never change is how can I for you? That's it. They're not here to learn about me. They're not here to learn. They don't care. Especially if they don't know you, they don't care about anything about me or my world. They want to know how I can make their world better. And so when you treat it that way, and you make sure that every time you put a video out or you're doing something, even on my hunting vlogs that I do and things like that, I try to keep that education there so you can help them. And that, when you're straight up and honest and you call it like it is, and you're not going to hide your mistakes, and you're going to just, when you're proving it, you're living how it is. I think it helps a lot. I think it helps people a lot.
Yeah, it absolutely does. So enough about us content creators. And speaking of that, on that point, people are tuning in to find out how to become better bow hunters. So I'm going to ask you if you have any tips for people so I'm going to ask you 3 questions. 1, do you have any tips for people who want to get into bow hunting? And do you have any tips for people who are beginner at bow hunting? And then do you have any tips for people who are maybe they're veterans, but they want to do a little bit better?
Yes. For people that want to get into bow hunting, turn off the outdoor channels immediately on TV. Don't watch them one bit. You don't overthink this, and don't, there's so much pressure to kill big bucks on TV. There's so much pressure on Facebook that you have to be a certain something, that you have to wear a certain piece of clothing, you have to use a certain bow, a certain head, a certain this. None of it is true. You need a bow, any bow. I don't care if it's your grandpa's recurve or your dad's compound, a PSE Mach 5 from the 80s. Doesn't matter what it is. If it's got a string on it, it works. Take it out, shoot it, get good, keep your distances close, and then let the rest of it fall into place when it does. Take your time with it. Get that excitement out there, and then spend most of your time, rather than learning about gear and tricks and how to blow a grunt call and all this kind of stuff, focus on studying deer habitat and what deer do throughout the year and the life cycle of a deer, and then march out in the woods and start putting some of that stuff to practice so you can learn where to hunt, how to hunt. That's the stuff for beginning bow hunting. When you're intermediate in it, the most important one is going to be is start thinking outside of the box. It's good to get instruction. I have the Patreon channel. I got the bow hunting video course. There's a million things. You got Dan Infault with all of his stuff. There's so much amazing hunting content out there. Take it, use it, but on the same note, modify it, change it for your area, find what works best for where you are. But the most important thing in that intermediate zone, you got a couple of deer under your belt, you think you're getting good, but you keep trying the same thing over and over again because it worked. Stop trying the same things over and over again. If you hunt 3 times the same way and it doesn't yield any deer, then change it and don't hunt that way again for a while. Change it up and do something different. If you're sitting on white oaks and they're not producing, then go to red oaks, because the white oaks are probably done dropping. If you're, whatever the case is, if you're hunting a particular bedding area and you're not seeing any deer, go to a different bedding area, or, whatever it is. If you're too close, if you're on a field edge and no more deer are coming in during daylight, get off the field edge, move in closer to where they're bedding at. You have to change it up, especially at that level, and that is going to really give your arsenal a whole bunch of tools you've never had before, and you're going to use them to your advantage. And the number one factor in all of it is, remember that every time you fail, that's very valuable, because now you know what not to do next time. That would probably be my best for the intermediate guys. One simple one for the guys that really know what they're doing out there, and that is quit buying gear that you don't need and start putting that money towards tags, gas, and vacation time, because that's what you need more than anything. That is the whole reason I moved down here. It's the reason I gave up my lifestyle, the money we had, all that kind of stuff, is because we do not have time in life anymore. It goes by too quick. And if you want to spend it in the woods, you need tags, gas, and vacation days. And without those, your hunting is dead in the water. So find ways to make that happen. That's the best thing. I mean, you're already experienced hunting. You already know what to do. You already have it down to a science. Now get out there and do it in more places.
It's great. That is amazing. I loved it. I loved every part of that. It's going to be quoted forever now. Because actually you put it in one of your shorts too. The most valuable thing that you have is your time, right? And so I love that too. I love that quote from you. So that's awesome. Hey, I'm going to run actually, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do that at the beginning. I'll edit that back in because I want to put up my Patreons and all that stuff too. You mentioned a little bit about Patreon, your Patreon channel. Again, you can go to tbwpodcast.com, and then all Jason's stuff is going to be there, and links to his Patreon will be there as well, and we'll have links down below. Hey, so I'm going to back up just 1 second, and I know I said that twice now, but I forgot to ask you. I honestly forgot to ask you, what are you shooting right now?
I am a one bow kind of guy. So I'm not one of those ones that, I got a bunch of bows, but I'm not one that like switches. I cannot switch from a recurve to a longbow and be accurate anymore. I need to stick with one bow. I've been shooting, I don't know, for the last 10 years, I've been shooting Northern Mist bows, and I've been shooting the classics, his hill style ASL bows. Yeah. I love it, but I shoot a 57-pound, 64-inch. I only draw a 26, so a 64 is perfect for me. So I shoot a 64-inch, 57-pound hill-style bow, Northern Mist Classic. And God, Steve builds a bow. Man, his bows are just amazing. And then arrow wise, I'm using, I kind of, mine are unique because I make my own custom inserts. Now you got places like Ethics and stuff building really nice stainless steel 200 grain inserts. And when I do change, I'll probably go to those. But mine are tuned so perfect for my custom made. I take 2 brass inserts and I grind the head off one and mount them together and make a 3-inch long 200 grain insert. I've been doing that for 15 years. And I epoxy them together, and that's in my arrow. So I'm using a 500 spine arrow, but I have 3 inches of non-flexible end on it. So for me, they work.
You got a brass rod.
Right. I mean, and then people, they wonder, they're like, oh, you're under spine, you'll never get that to work. Well, I'm only shooting a 27-inch arrow. I draw 26 inches, 25 and a half usually. Yeah. And I got 450 grains up front, so I'm ended up with 31 FOC, 31% FOC, and it's a 710 grain arrow. It's so slow coming out of my bow with my short draw and little power stroke that if I have the right Nikes, I can't remember which ones, but my wife bought me a pair that are fast enough that when I shoot, if I don't like where it's going, I can actually run down there and catch it. Well, I used to be able to. Now that I'm almost 50, I probably won't make it, but I'll probably need faster Nikes. But it's such a slow bow. Not the bow slow, but the whole combination. But I'll tell you what, every animal I hit, that thing just, even when they hit the shoulders, crack, and it just goes through. And it hits like a freight train. I mean, when I shoot the 3D targets, hit the courses, people are, oh my God, what are you shooting? Because the whole target's, all over the place. I love the combo. It's just, it works perfect.
Well, yeah, if it works for you, that's amazing. Hey, do you 4-fletch or do you 3-fletch? I forget. I should know. I watch you shoot a lot.
I've done them all. I don't mind 4-fletch, but it's above my pay grade because it takes 4.
I know, right? The feathers are expensive, dude. You're not lying. You ain't lying. Yep. You ain't lying. So,
but I shoot 3, and I use they're 4 inches long. I chop them myself because I want them high back, like the old 5.5-inch high back feathers were. Yeah. Well, I make mine 4-inch, but high back at that same height. Yeah. Because I want to see it. I want it to look like that wiffle ball in yellow flying at my target. That way I know where I hit, especially in low light. I want to see that green blob spinning, heavy helical. I want to watch it just roll right through that animal. And so I like those bright colored feathers.
Remind me again, what kind of arrows are you shooting? What did you say?
They're gold tip blems.
Gold tips. Okay, I don't know if you said that. All right, but do you ever get heck for shooting carbons out of your ASL?
Oh yeah, all the time. Especially when people are like, "What wood arrows?" Because they're the wood version, the traditionals. They look like wood, and I tell them they're carbon. They're like, "Oh, I'm unfriending you." Yeah, I get it all the time, and I get people telling me all the time, you should not be shooting the blems or the 006s, and you're losing accuracy. It's like, really, you think I can outshoot a 006 arrow? They work fine. They work fine, and I'm not paying the money for regulars, so I buy the blems.
Yeah.
I retired now.
Just for people who don't know, like the straightness, he's talking about the straightness 0.006 of an inch straightness, over an inch, whatever. It's ridiculous. But I mean, I guess if it makes you feel better to shoot 003s or 001s, then I guess it could help your game. But yeah, I feel the same way. At 18 yards, you're not going to do nothing. You're not going to notice that.
And there's a lot of amazing arrow companies, especially today, that have come out that have really taken an arrow to places that we never thought it could go. More power to those guys and that kind of stuff. But for me, in my opinion, and I keep my max distance as 20 yards. I will, and the reason I say 20 is because if I misjudge and maybe it was 22 or 23, but I tell myself 20-yard max on every animal I'm shooting at. And in that distance, all my shaft has to do is carry my broadhead there. It doesn't need to be straight. It doesn't need to be fancy. All I needed to do is carry all that 450 grains of broadhead and insert and everything I got on front of it and put it where I tell it to go. That's the only thing that shaft has to do for me.
Yeah, no, that's good. That's good. I mean, again, your forte is not competition. Your forte is bow hunting. It's putting animals on the ground. It is putting meat in the freezer. That's amazing. Do you do any turkey hunting out there?
I have killed 4 or 5 turkeys in my life. The last one was a debacle. I ended up, I think I hit it once and it wasn't good. And then I shot every arrow in my quiver as I chased it to try and get it. And I even picked arrows up out of the dirt and was still chasing it. And that's how I put it on the ground and thought that, you know what, I just don't, usually do much turkey hunting. And if I did, honestly, I think I would probably use a shotgun myself if I did. So I'm not really a heavy turkey hunter. In Michigan, it would interfere with my bow fishing season, and I was real big into the bow fishing, the custom boats and, all that. And you can't be out on the water till 5 a.m. and then find a way to, be up in the morning for turkey. So I've not hunted turkeys much. Now that I'm down here, I might, but at the same time, the turkey season it's still hog season, and it's always hog season. And the hogs I like it better than deer. I'm just.
You're talking about when you break it down, you like the sausage or whatever. How do you break down your hogs?
Well, the meat's good, but I'm talking about hunting them in general.
Oh, okay, sorry. Go on. My bad.
Yeah, with the hunting stuff, deer is great. I love it. But when you spend 3 months in a tree stand, you by the time you're done, you want to move. And then I can then get into the hogs. And like I said, I am exploring new things every day, running into snakes and gators and all kinds of cool things out there. And you're just walking and you're scouting and learning. And I'm finding hogs. And then you're, the stalking pigs and trying to get in on them. And it's just everything about it. It's my favorite way to be in the woods is chasing hogs. I absolutely love it. So in hog season and turkey season, when turkey season opens on the WMAs around here, then I can also hunt hogs too. So for me, I'll probably be chasing hogs, not turkeys. I'll probably get yelled at by turkey hunters as I'm wandering around in the woods, but I'm going to try hard not to mess them up.
Oh, you drive it towards them. Just I'm driving the turkeys that way. I'm driving turkeys that way. You'll be fine.
I'll be the one in orange.
Dude, that's so cool. That you got an interesting life. Tell us a little bit about Michigan. So you're up in Michigan. Were you in the UP or where were you?
I was northern Lower Peninsula. I was an hour from the bridge to get into the UP.
Okay.
About an hour and a half, actually. Yeah. So just south of the bridge to the UP. Okay,
cool. Well, that's great. Hunting, fishing area, right? In Michigan. There's a lot. It's just so different though. Is it not different? Like, isn't the forest a lot different than down in Georgia and the mountains in Georgia? And
night and day. I've hunted 13 or 14 different states for whitetails and stuff, and this is by far the weirdest thing I've ever been in is down here. It is a whole different ball game. I love it. There's a lot to learn because everything is so monotone. I'm a map hunting guy. I can pick any state that I ever go to, and I don't even scout any of my out of state hunts. Like what I end up doing is I get into my tent at night, and while I'm in my cot, I pull up on X, and I'm studying topo lines and stuff like that, figuring it out. Then I go in and hunt that spot, go in blind in the morning and set up and hunt it. Down here, I can't do any of that. This is all just, you don't even know if you can walk 100 yards into it. It could be flooded out with water. There's so much different type of terrain down here that's very monotone. Yeah. And you really got to look for the subtleties, and it's a learning experience for me for sure. I'm excited, but it's definitely a lot different than anywhere in the Midwest.
I got two more questions. I know we're running a little bit over here, but I got two more questions for you. So one is, are you carrying a sidearm when you go?
Never. I used to all the time. I used to carry constantly. Yeah. And then, you know what? I just got tired of carrying it and putting it on. So I don't, the only time I carry now is if I'm somewhere, if I'm out with my wife, I do, but usually it's a 380 in my pocket. I got a custom LCP with the high sights and everything on it. I really like it, but it's a 380 in my pocket, or, that kind of stuff. Or when I'm out with my daughter, or even when we just went to Savannah, I was carrying then, because we're wandering around the city at night. So I was carrying two then, but when I'm in the woods, never. I don't want the weight of it and the bulk, and I'm sweating like crazy, and I don't want to deal with it.
It must be a different atmosphere for you come from Michigan, going down to where it's hot and muggy and all the time in Georgia. That's got to be crazy. A little bit of an adapt. You must have had to adapt a lot to that.
I'm trying to, but it is different. It's a whole different ball game, and in the wildlife, and like I said, the trees and what's what, it's 100% different, Yeah. Down here, deer eat a red oak the second it hits the ground. In every other state I've been to, red oak has to leach out. It's got to sit on the ground for a while before the deer will touch it. Not down here. It's completely different. There's so many things I don't understand down here yet. that I'm still learning, and I'm loving it. I'm having a time of my life learning it. But you know, a lot of the same rules apply with bedding and things like that. But it's just such a different terrain and a different world. And like I said, everything down here, there's a lot of stuff down here. I mean, if you sit down, if you take a nap for a little bit, not thinking about it, you'll wake up and you'll have 500 ticks on you, and the mosquitoes will be carrying you through the woods. You know, it's a different world. You know. Yeah.
That's what, well, one thing's for sure. You haven't lost your accent yet.
No, not yet. And everybody down here says that too. Yep. I've even had to tell some contractors on the house, I'm like, listen, just because I sound like a Yankee, I actually live here full time. So you start charging me Yankee prices, we're going to have a real problem here.
Hey, it has been fantastic chatting with you and catching up. This is great. I'm happy to meet you. It was really cool. You're a great person to talk to. You obviously amazing experience. So I want to thank you very much for being on the show.
I appreciate it. We'll have to do it again. I was a lot of fun talking with you.
Yeah, I got another 4 hours of content with you, man. You're awesome. All right. Thanks everyone who stuck around and watched. Don't forget to like, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Don't forget about my Patreon too. Patreon.com/archerygeek. Till we talk again, hunt the good stuff. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you.